Welcome to MedLesson. In this video, we are gonna have the first chapter of Guyton Physiology. So let's get deep into it and start with homeostasis. Homeostasis is maintenance of constant situation in the internal environment. When we say constant situation, we mean that the temperature is around 37 degrees. We have a stable blood glucose and the water and salt balance is properly regulated. To do so, all systems over the body should work properly. Respiratory system provides oxygen and removes carbon dioxide from the body. GI tract digests and absorbs the food. Kidney and the liver, these two organs, removes the unnecessary and toxic end products. An immune system protects us from the pathologic organisms. There are two nervous and endocrine systems that they regulate the body functions. It means that these two systems help other systems function better. There are three main mechanisms that the body regulates the functions. The first one is negative feedback mechanism. By this mechanism, body opposes the initial change. Let's have an example. If we have a high blood glucose, for example, after a high carb diet, so the pancreas releases insulin. Insulin shifts the glucose inside the cells. It means that now we have less glucose in the blood because most of them have gone inside the cells. So we can say here that at the first there is a high glucose in the blood and now we have less glucose in the blood. So consequently we conclude that insulin reduces the glucose level by negative feedback mechanism. The other mechanism is the positive feedback mechanism. In this mechanism, body amplifies the initial change. For example, during the childbirth, baby pushes on the cervix of the uterus, and this stretch of the cervix causes a release of oxytocin from the hypothalamus. Increasing the oxytocin causes uterine contraction. As the uterine contracts, it pushes the baby much more forward. So now the cervix of the uterus is much more stretched and it causes release of oxytocin. Here at the first we have increase in the oxytocin, at the end we have much more increase in the oxytocin. So this is the positive feedback mechanism. The third mechanism is the feed-forward mechanism. This is called adaptive mechanism as well. This is not much common, but it can be seen in some parts of the body. For example, nervous system sends signal to the muscle to contract, and these muscles, as they contract simultaneously, they send sensory signal toward the brain. The brain interprets if it's a desired movement, nervous system continues signaling, and if it's a wrong movement, nervous system correct the signaling, and this is called the feed-forward mechanism. Another physiologic topic is gain for control system. It means how effective a control system maintains the condition. To calculate the gain, we have to divide correction over errors. Let's have an example. If we transfuse 1 liter of the blood to the normal person, the blood pressure will increase to 125 mm of mercury. And if we transfuse the same amount of the blood to a person with abnormal baroreceptors, the blood pressure will increase to 175 mm of mercury. So why we have here much more increase in the blood pressure? Because these baroreceptors are not working, so body cannot understand even that there is a high blood pressure. But in a person with normal baroreceptor, after the increase in the blood pressure, body understands this and excrete much more water in the kidney and compensates some of them, so we will have 125 mm of mercury. The normal one is the 100 mm of mercury. So by this means we can say that the baroreceptor system causes the correction of minus 50 mm of mercury. For calculation of the gain, we divide correction, which is minus 50, over the errors. Error is 25 because in a normal person, however, the baroreceptors are working, but there is increase of 25 mm of mercury in the blood pressure. After calculation, gain equals minus 2. This is not much important topic in physiology, but for the board exam, if you understand, it's a good idea. Here is a higher picture of the physiology about the regulation of the body function. In this picture, we can see that the x-axis showing the time and the y-axis showing the cardiac output. Cardiac output is the amount of the blood which is being pumped by the heart each minute. In a normal condition, our heart is pumping 5 liters of the blood toward the peripheral tissue. So we'll see in this slide what happens if someone loses 1 liter of the blood. by bleeding or any reason. If someone loses 1 liter of the blood, after around 3 hours he will return to the normal. By which mechanism? Let's see. 1 liter of the blood is lost, so the arterial pressure decreases because blood volume is decreased. Baroreceptor system detect the decreased pressure, send feedback signal to the vasomotor centers. Vasomotor centers are located in the middle oblongate of the brainstem. This vasomotor center activates sympathetic nervous system. Here is the real compensatory mechanism that the sympathetic nervous system acts on the two areas, the first blood vessel and the second heart. In the blood vessel causes vasoconstriction and the heart causes tachycardia. And these two changes again increase the blood pressure toward the normal. How these two changes increase the blood pressure? Vasoconstriction. After the vasoconstriction, of course, the lumen of the blood vessel decreases. When the lumen of blood vessel decreases, blood is shifted toward the heart. Now heart is filled with more blood, and when it pumps to send much more blood toward the peripheral organ, so the blood pressure as well as the cardiac output increases. And the tachycardia, it means that the heart pumps faster, so of course the blood pressure and the cardiac output will increase because now heart is sending much more blood toward the peripheral organ. And in this picture, this is the same picture, we will see what happens if someone loses 2 liters of the blood. As you can see in the graph, this person will die. Before discussing this part, let's have a look in this picture here. It shows the cardiac cycle. Heart has systole phase and diastole phase. In systole, it's the time that heart contracts, and diastole is the time when heart relaxes. As you can see in this picture, when the heart contracts, so the heart pushes the blood toward the peripheral organ. All organs are supplied by the heart except for the heart itself, because the cusp of aortic valve closes the coronary artery during the contraction when the blood is going forward. But when the heart relaxes, so the blood tend to come back inside the heart. These bloods cannot enter the heart because this aortic valve is closed, but some of them will enter the coronary artery and supply the heart itself. So simply we say that during the systole and diastole phase, all organs are receiving the blood, but the heart itself receives the blood just during the diastole phase. So when we understand that, let's go toward this picture. After losing 2 liters of the blood, severe hypovolemia happens, and this decreases the blood pressure. Body tries to compensate by sympathetic nervous system to increase the heart rate and vasoconstriction. The same thing that happens here, that return the body toward the normal. But when someone loses 2 liters of the blood, it doesn't happen and the person dies. Why? Because as the heart rate increases, it leads to decrease in the diastole time. It means that whenever tachycardia happens in the body, it means heart is beating faster. So the systole time remains the same, almost the same. However, there is a least decrease, but the diastole time decreases significantly. It means that if heart is pumping faster, heart doesn't relax enough, just pump the blood toward the other organs, but itself cannot receive the blood enough because the heart receives the blood during diastole phase. So by this means we again say that increasing the heart rate decrease the diastole time. So the coronary perfusion decreases and it can lead to ischemia of the heart. When the heart is ischemic, heart cannot pump well, so the blood pressure even decrease more. Obviously it cannot enter the coronary artery, so the heart tissue is not supplied and it leads to myocardial infarction, and at the end death happens, as you can see in this graph. Hope to understand. And here is a small topic of the body fluid. Before get through this, let's have a look in this picture. Here are cells and there is a capillary network. So the space which is here inside the cell is called intracellular, and the space which is outside the cell it's called extracellular. And this extracellular, maybe whether it's plasma of the blood or it's interstitial space. Interstitial space is the space between cells. So let's go through body fluid. The total body fluid is 60% of the body weight. It means if someone has a normal weight, around 42 liters of that is fluid. And this fluid is divided in two categories: extracellular, outside of the cell, which is 1/3 of the total body fluid. It means out of 42 liters, 14 liters extracellular. This extracellular, again, it's divided into interstitial fluid, which is 11 liters, and the plasma, which is 3 liters. And intracellular fluid is the 2/3 of the total body fluid, which equals 28 liters. We have a separate chapter for the body fluid in the physiology. We will discuss it later with details. But for now, beside this, remember one thing else, and that's that intracellular fluid is rich in potassium, phosphate, and also proteins, which all start in P. And the extracellular fluid is rich in sodium. By this means, we have completed the first chapter of Guyton. See you in the next chapters.